Hi folks, and welcome to Power Negotiating. Today I'd like to talk about controlled business arrangements. And you say, Reed, what exactly is a controlled business arrangement? That just sounds bad. A controlled business arrangement is an arrangement where you control who gets the business. Let me give you an example of this. My ex-wife used to own a title insurance company. When we were married, every time I would make an offer, I would have a clause that said, this offer is contingent upon the title insurance and closing being done at Custom Title Services. Now, why did I do this? The reason was so that I could control where the business went. Now, if you write an awful lot of offers, what do you want to do? You want to have controlled business arrangements. Why do you want to do that? Because you want to have the home field advantage everywhere you go. So if you know a realtor, if you know an appraiser, if you know an attorney, if you know a title insurance company that you want to send the business to, just write that into the contract and have that be part of what you're doing. Now, can controlled business arrangements be a bad thing? Yes. I'm a mortgage broker, and I used to go to this one community in Lady Lake, and I would try to get refinances, and everything in that community had to go through this one attorney, and that attorney charged about 3 times what the title insurance company I was using charged, which meant that every time that somebody did a deal, they paid 3 times what they would ordinarily pay because they had a controlled business arrangement. You don't want a controlled business arrangement like that. You want a controlled business arrangement that helps everybody that's involved. I had another client I was working with, and they had a controlled business arrangement done to them. They were buying a property, and the realtor had a title insurance company on campus in their building, and they had a mortgage insurance company, and they coerced this guy to make an offer on a property, and then when the loan came out and it was slightly higher percentage rate than what he wanted to pay and more points, he went ahead and protested, and they told him, you sign this contract, if you don't go through with it, you're going to forfeit a $10,000 down payment. And they forced him to go ahead and do a really bad deal. You don't want to have people that are not looking out for your best interest. You want to have people that are looking out for your best interest and give you a home field advantage. Now, when I say that, we're not taking advantage of someone else. We're not really taking over them. But you want to make sure that you're protected. And one of the best ways you can do that is to have someone that is doing the title work and doing the closing in such a way that you don't have to worry that you're going to get ripped off, because it can happen out there. And I want you to think about what type of real estate contract you want to use. If you use a typical realtor's real estate contract, that real estate contract was written to protect the realtor's clients, the person that's going to be paying their bills, who is the seller. If you're a buyer, guess what? That contract, although it's used by realtors, it's used by buyers and sellers, that's designed to give the advantage to the seller, not to the buyer. So you want to use your own contracts, and if you don't know where to get those, I can show you where to get them. But you want to use your own contracts and make sure that you have at least a level playing field and that you're not going at a disadvantage. Now, let's also talk about how having a controlled business arrangement can be good for you in other aspects. Let's say that you can't help a person. You've done your due diligence, you've gone ahead and found out what their needs are, and you found out what their ability is to sell the property, and for some reason you can't help them. Is there anybody that can? Maybe you can have a realtor that sells this property for them. What would happen if you said, it appears as if you really need help of a professional that is in here. I can't help you with this particular property because it doesn't meet my criteria, whether it's too much work, there's not enough equity, whatever there is. You want to go ahead and, if I can't do something with that property, is there somebody that can? Do a warm handoff. And a warm handoff is you ask the person for permission to have them speak to another professional, and then you call this other professional on the phone. Hey Diane, this is Reed. I've got a person, let me tell you about their situation. I've got them on hold. Can you go ahead and take care of them? Here they are. And then you transfer them over to the professional. Now, why would you do that? If I send a realtor a listing and they sell that property, how much money will that realtor make? Let's assume that they're only going to have half the transaction. Let's assume that's 3% on the buyer side, 3% on the seller side, and let's assume they're in a 50-50 split, so they're going to get 1.5% out of that. On a $100,000 property, that's $1,500. Not a lot of money, but what have you just done? You've put money in their pocket. They didn't have to prospect for those leads. And what you're going to do is you're going to say, here you go, and you pay that forward. Now what happens if you keep on giving them help and they don't give you any help in return? If they don't give you any comps, if they don't do a comparable market analysis, what happens if they don't offer to help you with any of the things that you need to have done? Find someone that will. But you send them something first. And once you send them something, the law of reciprocity will kick in and they will send you business. Now, we used to work with this one realtor, and we sent her every piece of business we possibly could. And as a result, she sent us all the business that we could as well. And a controlled business arrangement, if you work it correctly, can give you at least a level playing field, sometimes an advantage. It will definitely give you an advantage over the normal person that does a closing through a realtor using their contract that is in favor of the sellers and not in favor of you. So you always want to have at least a level playing field. In our next session, we'll talk about using referrals.